Good morning and welcome to Panatomy on CorperNews. On today's episode of the program, we'll be discussing on the nation's legal brawls. To do justice to this topic, I have with me in the studio a legal practitioner who has maintained specialty in both criminal and civil laws in the country. Barrister Kingsley, you're very much welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And also with us on the program today is another legal juggernaut, Barrister Ginika. Sir, you're also welcome to the program.
I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I would say, allow me to say, we day for season, because it's a popular slang amongst most Nigerian business people engrossed with their sales over a certain period of time. Barrister Kingsley, would you say the same for your field? That we are in season because this period around it's season for legal issues being settled. Would you say the same for your field? Is it always like this for legal practitioner, or is it because we are in the election year?
Thank you very much. I don't think the legal profession has seasons.
Okay.
I don't think we have seasons because there's always issues. As people transact, there's always bound to be issues that will come up. But particularly during this election petition seasons, it's a windfall for lawyers as well. It's not out of place to say this is the season for lawyers, because there are a lot of petitions filed here and there in different states, both for the senatorial, presidential, House of Rep, and all that. So you're not wrong either to say it's the season of lawyers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Barrister Ginika, will you also say the same? Do you agree with
He's right, because life is continuing.
Yeah.
We are in the world, issues will always come up, and when issues come, we address it, and the best place to address issues is in the law court.
Oh yes,
definitely. So, but like he said, it's a peculiar situation that we have an election year,
yes,
and during an election year there will be disputes, okay, and the disputes are supposed to be resolved by the court. So there's multiplicity of tribunal matters emanating from the elections. It keeps lawyers busy, and to that extent also, the pockets of lawyers will also be improved.
Yes, definitely.
So it's normal in life.
Definitely, that's good. All right, okay. The Electoral Act. Let's talk about the Electoral Act. Okay, the Electoral Act 2022 is a laudable effort to keep the Nigerian electoral process up to standard practice,
Yes.
with that of other democratic countries all over the world. Especially as we approach the 2023 election, general elections. If well applied or implemented, it will go a long way in bringing sanity and transparency to the Nigeria's electioneering process. This piece is gotten from an article on the Guardian newspaper by Cornelius Gabriel on September 27, 2022. Barrister Ginika, this question goes to you kind of. So, in simple terms, what is the Electoral Act? Who makes the Electoral Act? For who? And how important is the Electoral Act? I think we'll just take it one by one. We'll say, what is the Electoral Act?
An Electoral Act is a body of law made by the National Assembly. The National Assembly is the Senate and the House of Representatives of Nigeria. They make these laws for the control, organization, and conduct of election in Nigeria. Particularly the 2023 Electoral Act was an improvement on the 2010 Act. It has a lot of innovations, has a lot of modifications,
Okay.
like you said, that will make election and electioneering processes easier and more credible. That was it.
That's
what the act is.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, like you said, it's made by
the National Assembly, and the National Assembly is made up of the Senate and House of Representatives. These two bodies will make laws concurrently for the electoral process. And when they made the act was assented to by the President of Nigeria, Buhari,
yes,
Muhammad Buhari, on the 25th of February 2022. Okay. On that day that it was assented, it now became the law guiding the process of election in Nigeria. It now overrides the 2010 election, which has already been annulled by the promulgation of that act. You understand this?
All right. What's the major difference? What was introduced into this Electoral Act that wasn't in the other ones.
Yes, the new act brought a lot of innovations based on issues that have been arising from former elections,
Okay.
where there are a lot of disputes that cannot easily be resolved. They decided to introduce technology into Nigerian elections. That is the major feature of the Electoral Act.
So one of the
Introduce technology,
the BVAS,
the BVAS, the IRF. These are some of the, and then the issue of electoral materials being accounted for before election. It makes a lot of provisions, even the conduct of primaries, the conduct of electoral campaign, how much can be voted into campaigns. It has a lot of issues, but the ones that are germane to this discussion is the issue of technology they brought into the election process.
All right, that's good. Okay, according to the Electoral Act, to be declared the winner of the presidential elections, a candidate must garner at least 25% of votes in all 36 states and the FCT. There's been so many controversies regarding this clause. Barrister Ginika, can you help us make sense of this clause? 25% votes of all the states and the FCT. I think that's also an issue in the court.
It's actually a provision of the Constitution, of the 1999 Constitution. I think Section 134, subsection 2B, that made that provision.
Okay, not the Electoral Act.
Not the Electoral Act.
Okay.
The Electoral Act, of course, must confirm with the provisions of the Constitution, and to any level or any regards that it is inconsistent with the Constitution, it is a nullity.
Okay.
That is it. So, but the Constitution provides in that section that I mentioned that for you to be declared president, you have to first of all get the highest number of votes cast.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay.
Then number two, you have to get at least 1/4, 1/4 of all the votes cast in at least 2/3 of the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. That is the provision of the Constitution.
Okay.
Right. Now, the controversy is the interpretation of that provision. Some people believe that what it means is that you have to get 1/4 of all the votes cast in each of the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, which means they take the Federal Capital as part of the states.
Okay.
Some legal opinions believe that what it means is that you have to get 1/4 of the votes cast in at least 2/3 of the 36 states, and then you will also have at least 1/4 of the votes cast in the Federal Capital Territory. This is the controversy.
That's the
I don't know whether this thing make sense to you now.
Yes. I think it's making sense. But which one are we going to say it's actually or is it going to be settled in the tribunal?
No. Let's come about it. Yeah, this matter we are talking now is sub judice. It's before the court.
It's before
one of the highest courts in the federation. So, as lawyers, we are not supposed to interpret what the court will say. Definitely. We can only give a leeway, a guide to say, okay, the court may go this way, the court may go this way. Okay, we can say, okay, in our own view, it may be like this, but it will not be the situation. It's left for the court to decide. That's why the courts are there. Okay. So that is the position.
Okay, all right, no problem. As regarding evidence presented to court, what level of evidence would you say is enough for a tribunal to overturn this year's INEC decision of February 25th election? Mr. Barrister.
When you come to matter of evidence, there's never enough, evidence can never be too much or too little. What we need is substantial evidence. Substantial evidence that is substantial enough to overturn. You can't, like, for instance, now let me use the just concluded presidential election as an example. We've seen the controversies emanating from the result sheets in Rivers State, particularly.
Definitely.
Give and take. If you say, okay, let's say, for instance, we're going to minus the votes in Rivers State, or we're going to look at the discrepancies, does that particular evidence, does it substantially affect the outcome of the election? The answer will be no. For instance, if you deduct all the votes, you say these votes were added to this person, if you deduct this vote, will it substantial? So what the court is going to look out for is evidence that can substantially influence the election. Evidence that when you present it in court, it will sway the election. For instance, now we know how many votes that Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the election with. We need evidence, or the court will need evidence that will substantially counter whatever votes that he has as it stands now. That is the substantial evidence. But we know, of course, there are controversies with the evidence. Just like today, we are seeing in court that the Labour Party legal lawyers are already complaining that INEC refused to release some of the evidences to them.
That's also a problem.
It's a problem. It's a problem because INEC, for me, I believe INEC should try as much as possible to be neutral. They have conducted an election, and the parties who contested this election have issues. They are saying, oh, we are not satisfied with this election. What INEC should do at this point in time is to, as much as possible, be neutral. If lawyers approach you for evidence, release these evidences to them. Let them go to court. INEC should not be seen as being partisan.
But INEC withholding these evidences from these people, is that not a problem? Is it not going to affect the court proceedings?
It will be a problem.
Is there a way that the courts can persuade them, can compel them to act accordingly?
Of course, the court can. The court has the powers to compel them to produce evidences that are with them, because there's this particular rule in law that if there's an evidence that is being withheld by you, there's a presumption that if those evidence are tendered, those evidence will be against you. That is why you are not tendering them. Because if these evidence are produced, they will not be in your favor. That's probably why INEC is keeping those evidences. So it is important that INEC, as much as possible, play the neutral role. That is what they are. They are neutral umpires, and they should remain so. They shouldn't be seen as partisan in any way. They are not political parties. They don't support any political party. They should remain neutral as much as possible.
Let me just add a little to what he has said.
Right.
In this election, Nigerians have a lot of interest in this election because of the condition of our state.
Definitely.
The state has gone too low. So everybody wanted a change.
Yes.
And so for that reason, Nigerians took this election very seriously. And a lot, therefore, was expected from INEC. But we have to say the truth, that INEC played below bar. INEC disappointed Nigerians. And to that extent, that makes the issue that INEC should be careful the way they present themselves in the election.
Yes.
Mark you that the courts are also Nigerians. The judges are human beings. They are feeling what is happening in Nigeria just like all of us. They can't speak because of their position, but they have the authority to interpret the law and to make changes.
They speak through their judgments.
Yes,
they speak
so INEC should be very careful. Refusing to release electoral materials, you are impliedly admitting the allegations by those presidential candidates that you compromised. So the courts are looking at that. So to that extent, it will affect the pronouncement of the judges. If they found out that INEC has compromised and INEC is biased, they will definitely descend on INEC and they will destroy their results.
The results.
So INEC has to be very careful. It's very important. The word is independent electoral. They have to be independent and impartial. In any way, it is shown. Okay, take for example what happened in Adamawa State gubernatorial election. How can an INEC registered election commissioner start announcing elections when the elections have not been concluded? You see, all these things.
When it's not even his responsibility.
It's not his responsibility. It's the responsibility of the returning officer.
It's not even the returning officer.
That will show you the kind of INEC we have now, that it is not an independent umpire. And so I know that the judges are watching out for these things, and they will descend heavily on INEC if they show them any sign that are biased.
Okay, let's talk about this case. There's this something I noticed about this particular case and this election. Like INEC and the Electoral Act frown seriously at falsification of information by candidates. And there was recently there's been concerns of the president-elect's dual citizenship and his refusal to notify the commission of it. I would say refusal because the personal information form made the rounds online had a section that inquired about being a citizen of another nation, which he indicated negative, only for us to see passports all around saying he has a nationality with another country. What do you make of that, Barrister?
Well, I think the court will have to be very, very cautious when it comes to this particular issue. Even though it is not part of the prayers, it wasn't included in the petition filed by the parties. To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
It's not one of the issues raised by any of the parties in the election petition. But the court has to be very careful when, even if he wants to look into it, it has to be very careful because of this age and time that we are in. The issue of photoshops, except this evidence is substantiated. Nobody can. Anybody can design a passport photograph and throw it online. You understand? Except due diligence, the bodies, the institutions meant to investigate, do their jobs properly and bring out the facts. But for the issue of dual citizenship, yes, the Constitution frowns at it. The Constitution discourages it totally. However, does it really, can it really stop you from being president?
Okay.
The answer is no.
Okay.
Yes, the answer is no. It can't really stop you having dual citizenship. But I think the Constitution says if you are a citizenship by birth, if you're a Nigerian citizen by birth, it permits you to acquire another citizenship.
Okay.
You can acquire another citizenship, except you're not a citizen. So that nullifies that particular. But the issue we're looking at now is the issue of the falsification. Yes, the place where he was asked whether he has obtained any other citizenship and it was ticked as no.
That's perjury.
That's perjury. That's perjury. If proven, it can go in for it. If proven, it can go in for it. But I said by saying that the court has to be very cautious. If proven, because it has not been substantiated to the best of my knowledge.
Nigerians now are just looking up to the courts. They're looking up to every decision that is going to be taken now. We're just waiting for even the presidential candidate for the Labour Party has said, "Be calm, let's go to the courts. He will get his mandate back."
And which is the right decision.
Which is the right decision. Everybody loves that decision. So, but people are saying we want to know what's going on in the courtroom. We want to know what's happening.
Yes.
You understand? Put us in the loop. So people are saying, can't we have a live broadcast of the hearing? A lot of people are clamoring for this. Is this possible? Can we have a live broadcast where the hearing and all the whole stuff is going on? Barrister Ginika, what do you think about that? Broadcasting the court proceedings live. Is it legal?
It's what is what we call open trial.
Open trial.
It is more prevalent in America. Okay. Constitutionally, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
But the issue is our society advanced enough to handle that kind of process? Okay. When you talk about this kind of process, you talk of security. You know the security situation in Nigeria. Everybody carries arms. Yeah. Everybody can shoot. Everybody can kill. Boko Haram is here. Bandit is here. This and that. When you throw the court open with all the bandits that have been terrorizing people during the election, some of these guys can come into the court with arms. They can harm even the judges. Because when you let loose, what it means is you are letting loose everything. It will not all go well.
What about
I think what I understand from him is televising.
If you talk the issue of televising the court proceedings, Nigerian courts have not gotten to that level. It's unfortunate. I don't even think you can even take pictures of proceedings in court. That is our own. I don't know if there's any law. I'm not sure of any law that circumscribes it, but I know that presently, Nigerian law does not allow that.
I think is for me. I think it's a discretion of the court. It should be the discretion of the court. It has happened before. It's not a new development. Like the Oputa panel. Okay. Oputa panel was televised.
It's not a court.
It's not a court, but it's a tribunal. It's a tribunal. It's a panel.
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Kingsley.
Okay.
Oputa panel is an inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's an inquiry. You can call it a judicial inquiry. It's not even a judicial inquiry. It is an inquiry towards reconciliation. Okay. So to that extent, it's different from the court, so to say.
Okay.
You understand? So we are looking at court, so to say, a tribunal, a court sitting as a court, Nigerian legal judicial process has never allowed that.
Has never allowed that.
Yes.
Does that make it illegal?
It does not make it
illegal.
But you understand, there are some conventions we have, even in our legal practice, that it is not even backed by law, but yet it is as strong as law until somebody is, until it like he says, it left for the courts. If the court throws it open, it's the discretion of the court. Court throws it open there. That's it for the
discretion of the court. The argument people have always put forward for not allowing live broadcast of court proceedings that it can amount to distractions, because a lot of people may not even understand what transpires in court, and it will create room for misinformation. Especially during this era of social media. You know, people will begin to speculate and then begin to write us whatnot. You know, so that's why I think the court is a bit cautious about it.
They don't want it to.
But I don't see anything wrong in it. The court is a public place.
It's a public place.
Anybody can walk in and walk into any court, no matter what is happening.
Even you can extract the documents.
Yes, you can walk in, apply for any documents, so long as you do it properly. You can apply and then get CTCs of documents. So it's a public place. Yes. Anybody can walk in. So, but televising it is still at the discretion of the court. I don't have a problem with it personally, anyway.
All right, no problem. Let's talk about technology in fast tracking the tribunal's verdict as suggested, because people are saying that there's this delay that has been going on for a while. It's just to make sure that they swear in the president-elect so that he can come in, and then once he comes in, nothing can be done. Is it possible that if the president-elect is sworn in on May 29, then it's over? People feel like it's over. No need to keep going to the court again. He's now the president of the country. It happened in the last election with Atiku and Buhari, where he took the case to the court, and since then Buhari's tenure is almost over and nothing has been out from it, you know. So I feel like Nigerians feel like, oh, let's have this thing hurried up, you know. Can we make it quick so that we can settle the issue before he goes into office on May 29? What do you think about that, Barrister Ginika?
All right, you know, mind you that even the tribunal process is also part of the electoral process. Okay. But there's a provision that when there is issues, you take it to the courts to resolve it. Now the issue is there's one balance that says that justice rushed is justice crushed. Okay, let us try and get it right. Why should there be that rush? The rush, and as you are rushing, you in a way destroy the whole substance. Then that's the end of it. So my own take is that these matters are in the courts. The courts should be allowed, give all the latitude as provided by the Constitution. Remember that the Constitution has a time lag against the court to deliver. Okay? Let that time lag, let the court exhaust it. Peradventure, before that time, the new president is sworn in. It is also part of the electoral process.
For the new president to be sworn in?
Yes, it's part of the electoral process, because even the Constitution made provision, I think it's section 135 of the Constitution for announcement of election. It says that tenure of office. It says the tenure of office of a new president takes off from the day the tenure of office of the other president expires. Are you getting it now? So now, and it also says that a new president will not be sworn in until the other tenure has expired. Now, if you look at it, however you look at it, let's follow the constitutional provision. That is my own take. Now, concerning the fears of people, whether Buhari, when Buhari leaves and the president-elect takes office, and then maybe he will put his stature on table, and then for that reason, maybe he will mortgage the tribunal and the courts, and then I don't see it that way. We as lawyers, we still believe and have confidence in our judiciary. Forget whatever that has happened. No profession is watertight. If you go to any profession, you see there are some bad eggs, there are some Judases, but it does not mean that you can write the entire Nigerian judicial process and the entire Nigerian judiciary and the judges to write them off. That once the new president comes in, he will mortgage all of them. They will down to his tunes, and then the election cannot. Mark you that even P2B has done it before when he was governor of Anambra State. He can stay 2 years in office before you have done his election. He was already in government. He stayed 2 years before you have done his election.
People say that's governorship.
But it's an election.
It has never happened the presidency, but
it can happen.
It can happen.
I think P2B's case was the first in Anambra State.
Yes.
So we can also have a first in.
He was the first, and then later other governors took coup, like Equity, like you see.
And I think that's not also.
So what I'm saying, in effect, is let us have confidence in our institutions, like the court of law.
Okay.
Some of these people have been in the practice as judges for over 50 years. To be a court of appeal judge, you have to be at least 15 years in practice. And then, before you even get to that 15 years and they make a judge, and then from the High Court, you get to the Supreme Court, you have been on the bench for over 20 years. Those in the Supreme Court, some of them are over 30 years. And like what I said before, we should not forget that these people are also Nigerians. They are following the trend of what is happening. The way the executive is emasculating every aspect of governance in Nigeria, the judiciary is not happy about it. So I don't see a reason where people will say that if the president-elect is sworn into office, then it means that is the end of the process. I don't think it is.
So for me, if I will add, my colleague has said that justice rushed is justice crushed. But there's an even more popular saying that justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied.
Nice.
When it is delayed, because I said so far as they keep to the timeline.
Yes,
What's the time frame? What's the time frame?
180 days in the tribunal, yes. 60 days in the Supreme Court for presidential.
For presidential,
yes.
But wouldn't that be what people are actually avoiding? Wouldn't that make?
But that's the law. That's the law.
Can they do it before then? Is it possible to do it and come up with a verdict before then? Because an interview with San Femi Falana on Arise TV, he was talking about technology, how technology can be used to fast track the process and get. But he said if it's simple, if we can get the results from the polling units, from the beavers, and that from the RF, we can actually say quickly, this is it. It does not correspond. There is a problem.
Our laws are organic. It's not static. There's always room for improvement. Just like we have amended they've amended the Electoral Act to introduce beavers and then technology generally. There's also room for us to amend the Constitution to reduce this, to abridge this 180 days, because laws are not made in vacuum. This kind of scenarios now, nobody has ever anticipated that issues like this. This is not the first time we're having election petitions. Presidential for that matter. It's not the first time. Even the current president, he went through the tribunal. They won 80 days 3 times. He went through the tribunals, and the Constitution applied to him. So there's no point trying now to cut corners. There's no point. What I'm saying is, just like we have introduced technology, we should now go back and look at these provisions in the Constitution, the time frame, and see how we can amend it to suit what we have currently now, so that we can follow suit with other countries and then ensure that election petitions are discharged before someone is sworn in. Because the reason why I say this is because there are issues raised in this petition from the Labour Party that touches on the constitutionality of swearing in the president. So now, if this president is sworn in, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sworn in on the 29th of May, it means you have broken the Constitution. If eventually the court finds that he ought not to be sworn in, you have broken the Constitution in the first place. So these issues can be avoided if we can abridge this time and then ensure that all election petitions are discharged before any person, whether governorship is being or presidential president candidate is being sworn in.
Okay. And
Let me add
Barrister
something.
Ginika, want to say something?
Let me add something. Yeah, it is the interest of everybody
Okay.
that these things are expeditiously,
Determined.
But the issue is that as lawyers, we know that it is very tedious to extract evidence. And then I will let you know this. It's very tedious. You are talking of the vacuum that in a presidential election, the constituency is the federation. And like you say, you have to win this matter, this court case, by giving credible evidence that will touch the election of Adamawa State, Anambra State, Lagos State, and you collect all these things, you bring them to court, and then you now present it. So you also look at a situation where if you are rushing it, the presidential candidates that are going for this election will say, okay, you don't want us to present our issues. We failed because we're not allowed. That is we lawyers. That's what we say. You stampeded us, and therefore you didn't allow us to make our case. So instead of trying to throw the baby away with the bad water, why not wait a little bit and get it right? Because I know one thing is whether you are sworn in a year after, the court can declare it null and void. Like you said, the Constitution made provisions.
Yes.
Now, if you swear somebody and the swearing is ultra-virus the Constitution, the same court will declare that action ultra-virus and then put the new person into power. Now, the tribunal does not end this process. It is still going to the Supreme Court. So, in however way, if it is done very well, whatever that is wrongly done can be righted in the Supreme Court. So that is my take. Everybody is moving, urging for this thing to resolve quickly. But let us not in the mad rush. You do not, as lawyers, we know that if you rush anything in the legal process, if you make that mistake, you cannot reverse it.
But you know my take. One of the advantages I've come to deduce from this election and the election process, right from the campaigns, is that Nigerians are now interested in politics. They are interested. I've never seen
unlike before
Nigerians this conscious. I've never seen them this conscious, wanting to. The Nigerians followed the election from the primaries of the political parties up till now. Even when the election. The last election, nobody knew about it. Nobody had about it. Even when judgment was delivered, nobody knew. It wasn't really in the news. But for the first time, everybody is interested.
You're right,
and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yes.
Okay, let's quickly go for a commercial break, and then when we'll be back, I will continue on the program. Stay with us.
And you know another thing about this misconception. People actually think that females are the only feminists.
Yes.
No, are you a feminist?
Yeah, I'm a feminist.
You're a feminist.
But not a radical
No,
feminist.
chill now. Based on the your description of feminism, you're a feminist.
I'm a feminist to an extent. I don't dive
what
into
the
everything.
Obanye to an extent.
Yes.
You're here. You cannot be looking back.
I don't jump.
Welcome back to the studio. This is Panatomy on CorperNews. On today's episode, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about the nation's legal brawls. And Barrister Ginika and Barrister Kingsley has been doing a lot of justice to this topic. So, Barrister Kingsley, this one's for you. What is your view on the result transmission by INEC during the presidential election as raised by the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party at the tribunal?
Okay. Well, for the transmission of the election results as petitioned by the Labour Party and the PDP is the crux of the matter. That's what everybody is talking about. In fact, that's the reason why there's a petition in the first place, because INEC promised Nigerians, promised the political parties that they were going to transmit these results in real time. Even when there were speculations that INEC was going to disappoint Nigerians, were not going to transmit, they were going to go back to the manual transmission, INEC came out in the open and said they were going to transmit. Mahmood went to Chatham House.
Oh.
And he also stated, he made it in public, international public, that he was going to, that INEC will transmit in real time. So that failure to transmit in real time is the reason why there are petitions everywhere, to the best of my knowledge. Because not transmitting in real time gives those who are not interested in having free and fair election the opportunity to manipulate. Because that's what happens. That is the normal thing that used to happen before now. So that made rubbish of the innovation of the Electoral Act. It made rubbish of it all. Because if these results were transmitted in real time, nobody will have any issues. The Labour Party candidate, the PDP candidate, nobody will be talking about election riggings, mutilated sheets and all that. Because not transmitting in real time gave those persons who wanted to rig elections the opportunity to, cancel, mutilate and do all sort of whatnot on result sheets. That is the crux of the matter. So that casts a lot of doubts on the results and everything. And then even when, the most annoying part is that even when these issues were raised by the concerned parties, the INEC chairman who was supposed to, give them good reasons. Of course, he said there were glitches with their server and all that. He was asked, okay, if you say there are glitches, why don't you hold on? Let us look at the issues surrounding this before you continue with the collation of results. He refused. So now he has, just that simple act has made petitions to be filed. We are now something that he would have resolved within 2 weeks. At most, if he had paused the collation, at most 2 weeks. Okay. If all these issues would have been resolved.
Is that sorry?
Instead of,
is that the reason why during the election there was a time Senator Dino Malayo walked out?
Yeah, that was the reason why he walked out, and then the Labour Party counterparts also joined in the walking out. Yes, that was the reason.
And they didn't follow their guidelines.
They didn't follow their own guidelines. That's the problem. Okay. And I'm hoping that the courts will look into it. Because if I were a Labour Party, that's the first evidence I'll tender. You give us a guideline, and this is how you're going to conduct this election. And then in the middle of the election, you change the goalpost. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. It doesn't make any sense.
That's just like my learned colleague pointed out. The issue of the transmission of the presidential election results was the bane of that election. That was the bane of the election. Because what gave people confidence in this election was that these things will be done electronically. We have been having this problem of transmission of election results. That is where they manipulate elections in Nigeria. After election, they call it from EC8A or whatever. They give you one. By the time you get to the collation center, you have 10 versions
of the same form
EC8 that everybody signed. And then INEC will now come and say it is Mr. A that is our own. So then all other people's own is discredited. No, so we believe that this thing will be righted now, that as we are doing it, you have it, it's transmitted electronically in real time, not short time. Then as the election was going, just like my friend said, you change the goalpost right in the midst of the game. It is never done. You took it on your own and said this is the mode we are going to use. Nobody forced it on you. Then why do you appropriate at the same time reprobate? You cannot do it.
It's true.
Once you have set the standard, you have to follow the standard. That is number one. Okay. 2, even when you did it, you said you have glitches, but you transmitted senatorial elections. The same election that were conducted the same day.
Exactly.
You transmitted House of Representatives elections.
Yes.
Electronically. In real time. Which means you are not telling Nigerians the truth. INEC motivates its position. It is clear. Now, when you look at even the results, the few that they provided, there were a lot of discrepancies, cancellations, superposition of figures, and before that started happening, electronically Nigerians have been transmitting in social media that this is what INEC is doing. Like in Rivers State, people were shouting, even of electoral officials were shouting that this is what we get, this is what this person is doing. So these things are what we call in law collaboration. INEC collaborated these things by their final act of not transmitting these things in real time. So what we are saying is, take for example, there are issues like I remember in 1996 Olympics that Nigeria won that
Yes.
FIFA said that after that, if there's a stalemate, when you enter extra time, the first
Golden goal.
the first club to score, they have won the match.
Okay.
They did not change it because you said the standard. Immediately Nigeria scored that the winning goal. They declared it, they stopped the match. That is how things should be done.
Definitely.
So what we are saying is that INEC knew what it did. INEC compromised itself, and to that extent, it killed the morale of people in the election. It destroyed everything, and even the money that Nigeria put into this system. Nigeria put a lot of billions of naira to do this thing. INEC in one single act destroyed everything, and this is not how to build a nation. Honestly, not how to build it. So that's supposed to be righted up.
People were also saying that okay, if we I think some people were saying if we want to do the election, it's going to cost us a lot of money, and Nigeria does not have that. So let's just stick to this. Is that a good way to go?
It's not the way to go.
It costs us a lot of billions to do the elections, to organize everything, and now you people want to do a rerun of the election.
Yakub Mahmoud would have saved us the stress.
Yes.
He would have saved us the stress if he had paused just for a while and then ask questions. What's happening?
But what was his reason for not pausing at that moment?
I don't know his reasons. He didn't give any reasons. He didn't give any reasons that is known to anybody.
He said glitches. Well, in the same election we are talking of glitches, you presented the elections of the Senate and the House of Reps. So there's no glitches.
And it's the same server that controls
the same device.
That gives credence to the allegation of people that says that he was
the server was turned off for presidential.
Yes. You understand? Now coming to the issue you raised, I don't think it will cost us, or whatever it costs us in doing another election if this one is cancelled.
Okay.
Will tantamount to what Nigeria will gain as a nation if we have sanity in this country. We have a lot of money. A lot of money has been going down the drains. We are trying to establish a leadership that Nigerians will be proud of, that will take Nigeria away from the doldrum we are now.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter what it costs us to get it right. Please, if that is what will save this country from the drains we are going, it doesn't matter. Provided if the courts make that pronouncement, the money will come. If we are borrowing money, the present government has borrowed trillions to build the railways, and then we are talking of the leadership that will harness those things. No, I don't think any money. It is issue of money that will stop us from doing it right, to get leadership that me and you will trust, and this country will move forward. That's our position.
Thank you very much for joining us on the studio. Once again, this is Panatomy on Corper News. You're very much welcome. Join us same time next week. Stay with us. Thank you very much.